last name not being spelled with an S. So I just want to thank everyone for bringing me to Duke. This is kind of a big deal for me because when I finished my master's degree at the University of Arizona in film, I applied to a number of English PhD programs, Duke University being one of them, and I was rejected. So glad to be back. And the other funny thing is, you guys know Duke has a Canadian Studies department? Are all of you in it? Is that why you're here? You get credit for that, for seeing a live Canadian. And this is particularly important to me because Duke does an exchange with McGill University. And that's where I went to school. So a bunch of Duke students used to come up to Montreal, and I thought about coming here for a semester because I wanted to, go to an American school. That'd be awesome. But I ended up going to Copenhagen, which led to the post I wrote here on study abroad. I came back like a douchebag with a soccer scarf, and I pretended to like that sport. You know what I mean? This football's fantastic. Then I got home and I got really bored. So this was my interactions with this university that rejected me. So what I'm going to tell you guys about tonight is, I'm going to tell you what happened in the last year and a half. Like how something I started as a joke with a friend of mine became this book. And I literally on Sunday got back from London because the book's been published in the UK, in Australia, in the Netherlands. It's been incredible. So I'm going to fill you in on what happened. Then I'm going to sort of try to explain why I think it got popular, and then sort of finish up with a little bit of discussion about the race aspect of the book. So, in a dream scenario, I have a chalkboard behind me where I can write down some important information. So, January 18th, 2008. This is an important date to remember. I was at work. I was a copywriter in Culver City. My friend Miles was working for EA in Vancouver. Now, Miles and I were just chatting over Instant Messenger about the TV show The Wire, number 85 in the book. And Miles said he didn't trust any white person who didn't watch the show. This is particularly interesting because Miles is Filipino. And for the record, he wrote the post in the book and on the blog about Asian girls. Not me. So if anyone's here to stab me or do anything, I remember it was written by Miles, who is Filipino, and for the record, is racist against white people and against Asian people as well. If you've read the post, you'll definitely agree with what I'm talking about. So we're just going back and forth, and Miles says to me, he says, I don't trust any white person who doesn't watch The Wire. It makes sense to me. I love the show. I'm like, yeah, you're right. And then we start saying, well, what are they doing instead of watching The Wire? And you know how Instant Messenger conversations go, we just start flipping back and forth. So we're like, oh, they're doing yoga, they're going to therapy, they're going to plays, they're getting divorced. And it was that last one that just killed me in the conversation. The idea of some white person hearing about The Wire and being like, oh my God, I really want to watch that show, but I'm getting divorced again. I just don't have the time. So I said, all right, that's it. It's blog time. So on that day, Miles saved this Instant Messenger conversation, by the way, and I've read it like 50 times, and I actually said, it's blog time. Wow, that actually sounds even lamer than I thought. So I went to WordPress, the free hosting site, and I just typed in, no time thinking about this whatsoever. I just typed in what it was. Stuffwhitepeoplelike.wordpress.com and started writing. Now, I don't know if it was an intense amount of outward hatred towards white people or self-loathing, but I couldn't stop writing it. I just had so much stuff I had to get in there. Coffee, religions that parents don't belong to, all sorts of stuff like that. And I just had to start writing. So after about a week, I was up to about 25 entries, and we were getting about 100 hits a day to the site. And of those 100 hits, 99 of them were misguided searches for organic fair trade coffee. And I was like, I think I got something here. I think I got something that's actually pretty funny. So I'm going to send this to all of my friends. So on that day, I sent an email, I CC'd 20 people. I was hoping to get like an aww. I CC'd 20 people, and usually I don't like to inundate my friends with all the little stupid side projects that I do, but this one I thought was something special. So I sent it to my 20 friends. I said, this is a new thing that I'm doing, I think it's pretty funny. And then they forwarded it on to their friends. And then this is where sort of the magic of the internet, the viral, takes place. Their friends started sending it along. Because it's not really that hard to get your friends to forward something. They'll do it out of guilt. Or they'll lie and say that they did it out of guilt. But in this case, it was their friends who started forwarding it to other people. So I started getting these messages back to me. These long email chains about how the site was either hilarious, or how I was racist, or how this was awful, or how it was too applicable to them. And traffic's funny. So from 1,000 hits a day, we're at about week 2.5. It goes from, 100 hits a day, it goes to 1,000 hits a day. And remember, I'm working as a copywriter, and the guy next to me is an account manager. And I tell him, I'm getting 1,000 hits a day on this site. He looks and goes, really? You should put some ads on there. You could make like $60 a month. So what's my first instinct? I'm like, man, that's a sushi dinner right there. Which would later, of course, become an entry. And so I'm like, okay, let's do this. So I go to a domain register the domain stuffwhitepeoplelike.com, and because I'm a smartass, I registered stuffwhitepeoplelike.org. Because I was under the impression that to get a .org address, you had to be a nonprofit. Like moveon.org and stuff, so I thought it'd be sort of funny to say that we're a nonprofit organization for the study of white people. Truth of the matter is, we're a for-profit organization for the study of white people. And I don't know what it was that happened when you dropped the WordPress.com, but it synced up that on that same day that I registered for this thing and I signed up for $4.99 a month hosting, this will be important later, the site got linked on Good Magazine and Comedy Central's blog. Comedy Central has something called The Insider, which sort of scours the internet for new content, and Good Magazine, as you know, is Al Gore's son's magazine. And so all of a sudden, the traffic jumped from 1,000 hits a day to 30,000 hits. And do you know what happens when you get 30,000 hits on a $4.99 hosting plan? It was down. The site goes black. So about 2.5 weeks into this, the biggest thing that's ever happened to me, it's gone. And I'm freaking out. I'm like, oh my god, those sushi dinners are gone. Could have got an omakase. That was a very snobby joke that I hope some of you got. And so I call them up. So I call up the hosting service. And they go, what's going on? Why can't anybody access my site? And they go, give me just a second here, sir. Type it in. Oh yeah, you completely violated your terms of service. What are you running here? Some sort of e-commerce site? And I go, no, I'm running a blog. Just pause on the other end of the line. Is it an adult blog? And I say, no, it's just writing about white people and some stock photos. He's like, yeah, you sure it is. Look, it's gonna be $1,000 a month if you want to host at this level. So I'm like, all right, I can't do that. I'm gonna go back to WordPress, no ads, sushi dinner, out the window, never to return. And what happens next is insane. So this was all happening 3 weeks after the site started. We're at 30,000. And then all of a sudden, I start getting articles written about me in the LA Times, Wired. I go on NPR, which I found particularly ironic.